the verdict from the court in the Malegaon case. Special court in Mumbai has acquitted all 7 accused in the Malegaon blast case. The judgment now comes after nearly 17 years since the attack was carried out in Mumbai's Malegaon during the month of Ramadan in 2008. Former BJP MP Pragya Thakur, Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit and retired Major Ramesh Upadhyay were among the 7 accused in the case who've been acquitted now. Special Judge A.K. Lahoti presiding over the case had said today that the prosecution failed to prove the allegations in the case and that all 7 accused deserve the benefit of doubt. Judge Lahoti said that the prosecution could not prove that the motorcycle used in the blast belonged to Pragya Thakur and even said the engine number was unclear and the chassis number had been wiped out. The court has said although there are allegations that RDX was used to cause the explosion, there is no evidence that the RDX was stored at Lieutenant Colonel Purohit's residence and neither is there any proof that he had assembled the bomb. The court has said there is also no evidence to prove that the bike in question was owned by Pragya Thakur. Well, remember the Malegaon blast case was first with the Maharashtra anti-terror squad. However, in 2011, the NIA had taken over the case. Now, BJP Shiv Sena also have reacted saying that 17 years of injustice has finally ended and the saffron terror theory, that was the term that was coined by the Congress, has now been exposed. All right, my colleague Saurabh Gupta is also now joining us on the broadcast. He's been tracking all the details here. My colleague Aishwarya Jain also here on the broadcast joining us live here. Saurabh, if I could come to you first. We have reactions also now coming in, we understand, from Colonel Purohit and Sadhi Pragya Thakur. Take us through the details there.
Well, you know, I mean, this is a case that's seen several twists and turns. And right now what we know is that in this case, the main, accused, against whom the main case was, they've been acquitted. The court has found no evidence to convict them. The court has in fact said neither was the RDX that was allegedly, according to the ATS procured by Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit, that evidence was not proved by evidence. Then, of course, the motorcycle on which the bomb was allegedly planted, that was, the evidence did not link it to Pragya Thakur. So, both these people have now reacted because they were kind of the entire construct of the case. And therefore, what you see now is, of course, this case completely falling apart in court. But the indications that the case was not very strong was there earlier too. In fact, earlier, the court had dropped the MCOCA charges. What is the MCOCA? It's the Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act. It is to deal with conspiracies, to deal with organized crime. So that's one. Then, of course, the UAPA was, the charge, the anti-terror law, was what these accused were tried under. And now they have been acquitted. So this is something that comes as a huge relief to them. But not only to them, like we've been saying, it has larger ramifications, and the reactions that have been coming in point towards the larger ramifications. Was there a conspiracy? Were these accused framed as they claim, as they've earlier claimed? Were the confessions based on which this case was built, were they extracted under coercion? These are things that have been discussed during the course of the trial. But the larger political ramifications is what we are seeing political commentary on as well. Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, has reacted, saying terror was never saffron and it will never be. So obviously this term, saffron terror or Hindu terror or whatever nomenclature was used or whatever phrase was used to describe this construct, that is now completely falling apart with this court verdict, and the BJP has adopted a very aggressive stance.
I'll just come back to you, Saurabh. My colleague Aishwarya Jain also with us on the broadcast here. Aishwarya, we understand even as the opposition is saying that this is a very disappointing verdict and it's taken a lot of time for the verdict to come out, about 17 years. We understand the NIA had earlier taken over the investigation that was carried out by the Maharashtra ATS. This was in 2011 that the NIA had taken the investigation. But the BJP and the Shiv Sena have said that their stand remains, is vindicated now. They've been time and again saying that the saffron terror theory or the Hindu terror theory, the bogey that was raised by the Congress party, is clearly exposed, and there is nothing as such that exists.
Well, after the verdict, there is huge ramifications that are now coming out as far as the reactions pouring in from the opposition and from the BJP or Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena. The opposition pointing out towards the government, towards the agencies who had been probing. They're saying that it's been 17 years. Sadhvi is now on a wheelchair. They have lost their entire life facing such huge allegations against them. They have time and again stated that they are not guilty in this case. They have been framed on different laws, and the evidences that are being found out are not pointed towards them, but nobody listened to them. It is the agencies who should answer that what sort of investigations they are doing and what sort of governance it has been doing. In fact, opposition also stated that this was the same case that happened in Mumbai terror attacks as well, when the accused had been acquitted. It is, now the BJP or the Eknath faction of the Shiv Sena is stating that the term that was coined by then Congress and NCP government, that there is Hindu terrorism, saffron terrorism, is now being exposed completely. Hindu cannot be a terrorist is something that this verdict have proved. In fact, the kind of verdict and if you read out the order, there is also
that
stated
had carried
they're
out the
completely
investigation for so long, and it was carried out thoroughly. The court has given a verdict in this matter today and clearly said there is no proof. The prosecution has failed to prove the charges against Pragya Thakur, Lieutenant Colonel Purohit and the other 4 accused in the case. Well, serious charges were slapped against them, and they now stand vindicated clearly with this verdict from the court. I'll just come back to you, Aishwarya, in just a minute. We have now a reaction coming in from Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, who's actually said that Malegaon is not really important. Trump is the important issue here, and that is something that needs to be talked about. That, and also we have Pragya Thakur's sister, Upma Singh, who had spoken to us earlier. Let's also listen into that.
All 7 have been acquitted in all 7 have been
Look, please don't, sister, please don't try and digress the issue. The main issue sitting in front of India today is that the government has destroyed our economic policy, has destroyed our defense policy, has destroyed our foreign policy. Okay? They are running this country into the ground. ये डील होगी, ट्रंप डिफाइन करेगा ये डील कैसे होगी, और मोदी वही करेगा जो ट्रंप कहेगा.
उपमा जी, आप जो ज्वाइन कर रही हैं हमें, क्या पहला आपका रिएक्शन रहेगा? कोर्ट ने पूरी तरह से एक्विट कर दिया है साध्वी प्रज्ञा जी को.
सबसे पहले तो ठाकुर जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. माता रानी की कृपा से इतने लंबे टॉर्चर के बाद सत्य सामने आया, सत्य की जीत हुई. बहुत सारे लोगों ने, मीडिया ने, समाज के लोगों ने और स्पेशली कांग्रेसियों ने जिस तरह का टॉर्चर किया, उस सब से आज निजात पाने का समय आया है. और भगवान की कृपा से सत्य की जीत हुई है, क्योंकि वो डे 1 से कह रही थी कि मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है, मैं इसमें शामिल नहीं हूँ, लेकिन कोई मानने को तैयार नहीं था. और फाइनली आज भगवान की कृपा से कोर्ट ने ये चीज सबके सामने ला दी.
जी, और कोर्ट ने ये कहा कि चेसिस नंबर, इंजन नंबर लिखा नहीं था और उससे ये कहा नहीं जा सकता था कि वो जो मोटर बाइक थी वो वाकई प्रज्ञा जी की है या नहीं. ये बेसिक चीज थी जो कोर्ट ने कही है.
हाँ, कोर्ट ने जो कहा है, कोर्ट के पास तथ्य हैं, कोर्ट के पास आधार है बोलने के लिए, इसलिए उन्होंने कहा. भाई, कोर्ट को कोई बरगला तो सकता नहीं है, कोर्ट पर कोई दबाव तो बना सकता नहीं है. जो सत्य था वो कोर्ट ने कहा, उनके पास जो एविडेंस थे उसके आधार पर उन्होंने निर्णय दिया. और न्यायपालिका हमारे लिए सर्वोच्च है, हम सभी उसका सम्मान करते हैं. भारतीय होने के नाते हम उसमें आस्था रखते हैं और हमारी सबसे बड़ी आस्था ईश्वर के प्रति है.
All right, Upma Singh, the sister of Pragya Singh Thakur, who's now been acquitted by the court in this case, clearly saying that the truth has won, and her sister Pragya Thakur, I beg your pardon, has been clearly saying, repeatedly saying over these years that she is not involved and that she is being framed in the case, but nobody was ready to listen to her. But finally truth has won, and it's out in front of everybody. Now we understand Malegaon blast victims are also somehow disappointed with the verdict, saying that they were waiting for clarity, for justice in the case, and that has not been given to them. My colleague Saurabh Gupta, outside the court in Mumbai, there, what are the victims going to do? We are learning they could move the High Court, Saurabh?
Well, also it will largely depend on the prosecuting agency, and the prosecuting agency in this case is the NIA. The evidence that is already there as part of the system, as part of the legal process, is clearly not enough to convict anyone, let alone prove who was there or were these people actually involved. So that's one. So on what basis, if it has to appeal, it will only appeal once it feels that there is enough evidence or that this court is wrong in acquitting them. Only then can it go to an appellate court. The appellate court in this case is the Bombay High Court, and therefore, of course, right now the order first has to be typed out. It has to be given out. Certified copies have to be given to everyone. Once that order is read and discussed, then of course the agencies will take a call. But in such cases, usually agencies are aware of what evidence they have, and if a judge has not taken cognizance of the evidence that has been presented and the case hasn't gone their way, then they move to an appellate court. But whether that's the case in this particular case is still not clear. One has to wait to hear from the NIA on what it wants to do next. But the NIA, and this is interesting to note, the NIA earlier has argued this case, and the NIA in the earlier in the court proceedings felt that there was lacuna in the Maharashtra ATS investigation, and therefore that's important to note. So the NIA, when it started, was already not very convinced about the investigation.
Absolutely, and that is what the court observed today, that mere suspicion is not enough to prove a case against somebody. And no conspiracy or meetings, the charges that were made against these accused in the case has been, those charges have been proven in regard with the case, and there is no evidence to show that Pragya Thakur owned that motorcycle. Even Colonel Purohit assembled the RDX. No proof, no evidence to show that he had even stored the RDX in his house. Then on what basis charges were framed against these accused in the case? That is what the court has said, and has given a clean chit to them. I'll just come back to you, Saurabh, in just a bit. We have more reactions now coming in. Let's first listen into that.
तो ये तो जो एजेंसी है उसका ही चूक है ना, तभी तो सब लोग छूट गए। कोर्ट ने तो सारा एविडेंस देखा और कोर्ट ने अपना जो उनके सामने गवाही है उसकी बुनियाद पे छोड़ा है सबको। जो मरे उनका तो कोई चूक नहीं है। उन्होंने अपने जो विक्टिम उन्होंने गवाही दी, मालेगांव से आके बताया, अपने जख्म बताए, किसका हाथ कट गया, किसकी आंख फट गई, सब बताया। कोर्ट ने माना है कि ये लोग का बम ब्लास्ट हुआ था मालेगांव में, और इसीलिए उनको कॉम्पेंसेशन देने के लिए कोर्ट ने बोला है, और बेनिफिट डाउट दिया है कि उसको क्लियर एक्विटल नहीं दिया कोर्ट ने। सब ऑलमोस्ट सारी दलीलें खारिज कर दी गई, क्योंकि जो यूएपीए का सैंक्शन था वो भी कोर्ट ने बोला इलीगल है। जो प्लांटिंग आरडीएक्स के ट्रेसेस मिले थे वो भी प्रूव नहीं कर पाए, मतलब क्लियर कट प्रूव नहीं हुआ। बेनिफिट है, सस्पेक्ट है कोर्ट बोलता है, पर कोर्ट ने कहा कि उनके कॉन्क्रीट एविडेंस नहीं है कि सजा दे सके, इसलिए बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट देके छोड़ दिया सब। वी विल चैलेंज हाई कोर्ट, वी विल एग्जामिन द जजमेंट एंड चैलेंज हाई कोर्ट।
प्रलंबित मुकदमे के अंत में आज अपना निर्णय सुनाया है। इसमें सारे अभियुक्तों को निर्दोष मुक्त पाया है। इसके जो मूल बिंदु है वो यह है कि जो साध्वी प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर की मोटरसाइकिल बताई गई थी, वो उनकी मोटरसाइकिल वे इस्तेमाल कर रही थी या उनकी थी, ऐसा कोई भी पुख्ता सबूत प्रोसिक्यूटिंग एजेंसी न्यायालय के सामने नहीं रख पाई है। दूसरी बात, जो इंजोर्ड सर्टिफिकेट्स बनाए गए थे वो फर्जी बनाए गए थे, और वो फर्जी सर्टिफिकेट्स किसने और क्यों बनाए, इसके ऊपर मामले की जांच करने के लिए डीजी एटीएस को माननीय न्यायालय ने आदेशित किया है। उसी तरह से सुधाकर चतुर्वेदी जी के घर पर जो आरडीएक्स के झूठे और गलत पद्धति से ट्रेसेस प्लांट किए गए उसके ऊपर भी तफ्तीश होनी चाहिए। ये भी निर्देश और प्रोब करने के लिए डीजी एटीएस को निर्देशित किया है।
सैफरन टेररिज्म, भगवा आतंकवाद, ये एकदम कॉइन करने का काम कांग्रेस के माध्यम से हुआ। एक नया नैरेटिव 2008 में चलाने का काम कांग्रेस के माध्यम से यहाँ पर हो रहा था। सिर्फ और सिर्फ इतने सालों तक जो देश पर पाकिस्तान के माध्यम से, आतंकवादियों के माध्यम से हमले होते आए, उसको छुपाने का काम और एक तमके को खुश करने का काम, वोट बैंक की राजनीति के लिए, गंदी राजनीति के लिए ये सैफरन टेररिज्म, भगवा आतंकवाद, ये नैरेटिव चलाने का काम कांग्रेस के माध्यम से हुआ। आज एनआईए के कोर्ट ने एक जोरदार तमाचा कांग्रेस के मुंह पर चढ़ दिया है।
यूबीटी फैक्शन कह रहा है कि सरकार से सवाल खड़े करने का आज वक्त आ गया है कि इतने सालों से ये केस चलता रहा, कोई भी सबूत क्यों नहीं मिले? मुंबई टेरर अटैक्स के दौरान भी यही हुआ था।
वो भूल गए 2008 में केंद्र और राज्य में सरकार कांग्रेस की थी। आज कांग्रेस के साथ उनका गठबंधन है, तो उनके अंदर हिम्मत नहीं है कांग्रेस को सवाल पूछने के लिए। अगर 2008 और 2006 के सही आरोपी पकड़ते तो 2006 के आरोपियों को भी सजा होती यहाँ पर और 2008 के आरोपियों को, सही आरोपियों को सजा होती। तो अभी यूबीटी और कांग्रेस का डीएनए एक हो चुका है। वो हिंदुत्व भूल चुके हैं, बाला साहब के विचार भूल चुके हैं, तो उनसे आप दूसरी कुछ उम्मीद नहीं कर सकते।
इतने सालों का गुनाहगार कौन?
कांग्रेस। इतने सालों का गुनाहगार जो है कांग्रेस है। कांग्रेस को पूरे देश के सामने माफी मांगनी चाहिए, नेताओं को माफी मांगनी चाहिए कांग्रेस के।
आप कह रहे हैं हिंदू आतंकवादी नहीं हो सकते?
हिंदू आतंकवादी नहीं हो सकते, आज प्रूव हो गया है।
A big development has taken place as far as the NIA court is concerned. The verdict have come out. All 7 accused have been acquitted in the Malegaon blast case. How do you see this development? Do you welcome?
It's very unfortunate that consecutively second time that this has happened in the Mumbai blast case. Also, the accused were released. They were acquitted because of prosecution was not able to establish beyond doubt. And the failure on the part of the prosecution which made the court to release those who were accused. And this raises a serious question in the minds of the people of Maharashtra, not only Maharashtra, but all over India, that if government who is responsible to see that citizens of this country, citizens of the state are secured, and the probing agencies like law enforcing agencies and all, they are capable of handling the situation when this kind of mishaps happen. And if they are not able to, then who's to be blamed? Government has to take the blame on themselves.
All right, now Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra Eknath Shinde also has tweeted after the Malegaon case verdict, clearly saying that truth may be troubled but it can't be defeated. He said that a dark chapter has ended today and the stigma on the Hindu community has been wiped away. My colleague Saurabh Gupta continues to be with us on the broadcast. He's right outside the NIA court in Mumbai that has delivered this verdict. Well, a lot of reactions also coming in. Saurabh, we understand well, after this verdict, the BJP, Shiv Sena clearly saying that truth is won. It may be troubled, it can't be defeated, but the opposition is asking that even after these many years, 17 years of investigation, it hasn't been made clear who killed those 6 people. I mean, that question still lingers.
Absolutely, and if it weren't these accused, then who did it? That's something, of course, that's a question that will continue to be asked. But the fact is that this particular case and the 6 or 7 accused who face trial, if you look at the case from the beginning, and this is something that, we've done. We've reported on this case for a long time now. It's been 17 years and, right from the first charge sheet of the ATS, etc. The thing is that in this case, there was always a feeling that the case was built on confession statements. Under Makoka, confession statements are admissible as evidence. It is so under UAP as well. But again, in this case, the evidence, the physical hard evidence required to prove something as detailed, as intricate as a terror conspiracy was not there. In fact, the NIA earlier also said that there were lacuna in the earlier investigation, which was the ATS investigation. So 2 different agencies, 2 different directions of investigation. That's one. Secondly, the accused themselves have always been saying that they've been framed. And once the MCOCA charges were dropped against them, it was clear that the case was not on a very strong wicket, even though the discharge applications were not allowed, and the court said that prima facie there was evidence to put the accused on trial. So the court tried the accused, all the evidence against them was examined, every piece of evidence presented before the court was heard, seen, and of course examined, and then of course the court has decided that look, there are three important parts to the judgment. One, the motorcycle on which the bomb was allegedly planted cannot be linked to Sadhvi Pragya Thakur beyond reasonable doubt, and for any conviction the prism is beyond reasonable doubt, and so the benefit of doubt goes to the accused. Again, in the next case, to show that the RDX was actually procured by Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit, that again was not proved beyond reasonable doubt with evidence, so the benefit of doubt went to the accused. Now the victims' families or the victims' associates are saying that they will move the High Court, which is the appellate court. But again, if the evidence itself is not strong enough, if the evidence itself does not stand legal scrutiny, then of course the case is on weak legs. But what's more important is the political ramification. Now once this case came to light, there was this line, there was this phrase, the nomenclature, saffron terror, Hindu terror, these were terms that were used. And that became a massive political row between the BJP and the Congress. Today, the BJP is saying that it stands vindicated, that there was no saffron terror because the case itself on which these nomenclatures or these phrases were constructed on has collapsed.